decision. We never would have asked so many people to join us if we didn't think that this was possible, if we didn't know that we could win. Now, in the remaining hours left to us, it's up to all of us to do everything we can to finish this as strong as possible. For whatever polls are worth anymore, for those who still believe in them, poll release yesterday shows 49% to 49%. If nothing else, it reflects the truth that we all know, that this is going to be very, very close. Up to every single one of us to do all that we can to make sure that we win this. And I'm going to do everything on my part. I know that our team is as well. So yeah, this feels like exactly the place that we want to be in order to win this on Tuesday night.
Congressman, the president last night talked about images of barbed wire going up at the border. He called it a beautiful sight. I wonder what you think when you see those images.
I can't wait to get back to El Paso. I'm headed there tomorrow. The largest binational community along the 2,000-mile U.S.-Mexico border, distinguished by its true beauty, the mountains, the Chihuahuan Desert, our connection to Ciudad Juarez, to Mexico, the fact that we are a people of the greatest country on the face of the planet who are not afraid of one another, not afraid of the future, aren't going to wall ourselves off, are going to celebrate what has made us so strong, so successful, and so safe in the first place. So this election's all about bringing people together, matching the division, the partisanship, the pettiness with strength and courage and confidence.
That's what's going to go over here to the local affiliates really quick.
Okay. Local affiliates? You guys ready?
What are the last words? You know, Austin was a big support group for you. What would you tell maybe the community, whether it's something positive, whether if you win or if you lose for this upcoming election?
So from day one, Austin has been so big, so strong, so powerful for us. They're going to be a big part of how we explain our victory on Tuesday night. So I'm grateful to the people of Austin, the people of Williamson County, folks in the surrounding areas, all who have come together, Republicans, Democrats, independents alike, to make sure that we do something great for this country. And I just count myself lucky to be a part of it.
Let's talk to the locals first.
Okay. Go for one more, and then we'll come over here.
One more question. You know, politics can get a little scary and stuff. Earlier today, they were investigating a suspicious vehicle.
Right.
How do you respond to this, especially with so many people out here in your campaign?
I think we just got to remember to be good to one another every opportunity that we get. We were block walking yesterday in Dallas, knocked on the door of a Ted Cruz supporter. Could not have been more kind to me and to Amy. I think that sets the example of the civility, the decency with which we need to treat one another in the world's greatest democracy. So for my part, and on behalf of the campaign, we're going to continue to do our best to be positive, to be good to one another, even if we see things differently, even if we're going to vote for the other guy in this election. Let's remember that before we're Republicans or Democrats, we're Americans, we're Texans, we're human beings. Let's treat one another in that way. That's the opportunity that we have right now in front of us. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. A couple of related questions. One, as you've noted yourself, the turnout in early voting is just exceptional. Have y'all done any analysis to see how that's breaking? And secondly, have you also done any internal polling? And if so, what's it showing?
We have not done any internal polling. All I know is the publicly released numbers. Mayor Adler of Austin just pointed out that 14% of the votes cast during early voting were from people who had registered since March of this year. That's fresh from the mayor. I hope I restated that correctly. If so, that shows how many first-time voters are out there and who will literally decide this election. Young people, they're voting at 500% greater turnout than they were in 2014. That's people 18 to the age of 29. So between first-time voters, young voters, folks who have never voted in a midterm election before, only vote in presidential years, but are voting in this one, we're going from 50th, dead last in the country in voter turnout in a midterm, to a leading state in making sure that we get this country back on the right track. So I feel really good about things. Now, I don't know who everyone voted for, of course, but given the energy and the enthusiasm that we've seen out on the campaign trail at events like this one, I've got to think that it bodes well for our prospects on Tuesday.
You've heard
Okay, last question.
Ted Cruz and his supporters described you as radical, a socialist. How do you combat that in your final closing message here with voters who still might be on the fence about which way to vote?
Yeah, I mean, we can give into the name calling and the smallness and the petty stuff and the partisanship, or we can stay focused on the future. That's what we're doing in this campaign. I want to make sure every teacher's paid a living wage so that they can focus on that one most important job, teaching to that child. I want to make sure that we go from last in the country in the ability to see a doctor to leading the way and ensuring that all of us are well enough to live to our full potential. I want this defining immigrant state to lead the conversation on what our immigration laws look like going forward, writing them not out of fear, but out of confidence in who we are, our families, and our communities. These are the things that the people of Texas have asked me to stay focused on. So in the hours left to us before this is decided, I'm gonna follow their wishes and make sure that we do our best to lead by example. Thank you all.
What impact do you think that you could be having on down ballot candidates?
I don't know, and it may be just the reverse. It may be that all of these candidates who are running for every position along the ballot, first time in 26 years that every single one of the 36 congressional districts in Texas has been contested. That's just good for democracy. It's good for turnout. Might be good for us. Might be the other way around. I don't know, but I just, again, am just really encouraged by the energy, the participation, the voter turnout so far. I think all of that is a great sign for our democracy.
We're gonna head out.
Thanks.
Sorry, we're gonna head out.
Sorry about that.
See, you recognize
It was nice to meet you.
Just pop outside, get back in the crowd.
Appreciate it. Grateful for what you're doing. Yes.
Okay, where did my... Hey, Mariana, I don't have the numbers for the are they the same numbers? Sorry, I erased them.
Okay, so if I just now, I think of all, no, I don't know. If I just think I'll be that's it. I'm good. You're just, she's the one you need. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Are you ready? All right, here we go.
Okay, I'm following you.
6469.
Got it? I'm dialed in. Yeah, I mean, I can't get myself. I'm not in a position to get anything right now. So. We're attending a Trump press conference right now. Another press conference. What's he complaining about? Everything. You want this back since it's going to be. Tom, can I have that up there? Just so I don't need it. Just in case. no point.
They had it up here.
What do you want? You're gonna let us back. What? All right. Brian, what do you want? We're gonna try to get back to doing this. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse us, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I hear you. I can't. We're setting up. You're just going to have to wait. Don't worry, I'm only going to do a second. They're setting
I
up.
understand. It's just.
What an amazing feeling it is to have our very own champion, Beto, be by our sides and empowering us to participate in this election. I voted early for Beto because he is genuine, authentic, and compassionate.
It's going to turn. What?
He'll wait just one more minute for another picture, and he engages with everyone, including abuelitas who adore him. He really is the Energizer Bunny, from jogging in Fort Worth to protesting in the tent city in Tornillo to live streaming his race to catch a flight from Houston. Él ha estado ahí para nosotros y por nosotros. All 328 councils, we have
Garrett,
been in
they're
this
coming to you
together.
soon.
What a beautiful day it is to be here juntos. Let's zoom
Standing by. Are we next?
together with Beto.
Alejandrina. Right on. Thank you for leading us. Thank you all for being here. I don't think I need to ask, but how do you feel? Me da mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Ser parte de esta campaña los últimos 20 meses.
They're in
He
Casey
visitado
now.
cada condado en este estado 254 para escuchar y mejor entender las quejas, las oportunidades, las ideas de cada persona. Las diferencias no importan. Y no me importa si son republicano o demócrata, antes que su partido, somos
Yo.
mexicanos, somos tejanos, somos humanos. Y vamos a tratar cada persona con respeto, con dignidad, como merecen, como humanos, ¿sí? So many division and polarization and partisanship in this country. The pettiness, the meanness, the smallness that defines so much of what happens in the highest offices of public trust. To that, we're going to bring our courage, our confidence, our strength, this big, bold, beautiful heart that could only come from Texas, led by the people who are here, never mind the differences, could care less who you voted for president last time, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, who you pray to, or whether you pray at all, who you love, how many generations you can count yourself a Texan or an American, or whether you just got here yesterday. All that matters now is that we are together. And we have this opportunity to ensure that this country, 242 years into this experiment, that is the exception, not the rule in world history, the envy of so much of the rest of the planet, that we can freely choose those who will represent us, that we can guide the course that this country will take, that all of us were created equal, and that not from a single one of us can you take those things inherent to our humanness, our life, our liberty, our ability to pursue our happiness, this chance that we have as Americans to live up to
Can you
our
pull
potential
wide when I call
and
for
our
it?
promise
Okay.
to
When I
be
call for it.
there for the people
Oh,
of the future who are counting on us, the people of 2018. They want to see where we are right now at this moment. They want to know that in a state where it is harder to see a doctor than in any other state in the Union, where more than 4 million of our fellow Texans do not have insurance, can't afford their prescription medications, cannot take their child to a therapist so that they are better well enough to go to school the next day. Half of Texans under the age of 65 living with a pre-existing condition. And we have met the parents of those kids who are medically complex, medically expensive to take care of, who anxiously await this election, knowing full well the protections for their children's pre-existing conditions are on the line right now in a state where the largest provider of mental health care services today is the county jail system, to the point that our fellow Texans with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, all too often are getting arrested on purpose to go to the one place where by law they will be taken care of, or maybe they can see a therapist, receive a prescription for the psychotropic medication that allows life to be bearable, that allows them to continue to live. What if this were the same state that to that challenge rose up and decided that we will lead the country on guaranteed, high-quality, universal health care for every child, for every woman, for every man, for every single one of us, wherever you live and whoever you are. I want you to be well enough to live to your full potential, to be everything that you are meant to be in your life. And that means primary health care, specialty health care.
David, this is the Beto O'Rourke paradox. It is impossible to square those polls with the enthusiasm we see at rallies like this. O'Rourke just took the stage behind me in Austin, Texas, and there are at least a couple of thousand people out here for one final stump speech from a candidate who a lot of these folks told me they have come out to see time and time again. He has really ignited something among Democrats and independent voters in Texas, something that really has not happened in this state before. And yes, we're in Austin. This is the big blue dot in the center of Texas. But if O'Rourke can turn these people, these thousands of people who've come out to be part of these rallies, into a voting force, he has an opportunity to do something that hasn't happened in Texas since 1988 and be a Democrat from Texas to go to the United States Senate. So they dismiss the polls. The O'Rourke campaign does not have their own pollster. They don't conduct their own polls. They have based their entire campaign on the premise that they believe there are people who are uncounted, untested, not part of what the political class thinks will be a likely voter, but will come out and vote if they have something that they believe in. And that's the message that O'Rourke has tried to put out here. He's up against some very, very difficult math here in Texas, but that is what they have staked their campaign on. And it's rallies like this that make a lot of people think, David, that they can pull it off.
Almost every one of you reaching into your own pockets, or you have a hard time making ends meet on that salary, to be there for those kids, not just to decorate the classrooms or buy school supplies, but for that child on free and reduced breakfast and lunch who does not have a meal to look forward to going home. So often you purchase that meal. To that child who shows up in the same pair of clothes every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, by Thursday, out of your own pocket, you bought them a new pair of clothes so that they can hold their head high, be treated with the dignity that they are owed as a human being, their potential realized in your classroom. I'm going to make sure, in the same way that every single one of you have been there for every single one of us, that this state organizes behind you, that we have your back, that we insist that every teacher be paid a living wage in the state of Texas. Allow you to teach to that child instead of the test. Make sure that you unlock that lifelong love of learning. And every single one of us, once done, there is no stopping us. And I have yet to meet the Republican or the Democrat or the independent who disagrees that Texas should be the leader in excellence in public education. We can do that too. For every veteran who has served this country, whether you came back from World War II, whether you served in Vietnam and returned to a country that did not understand your sacrifice or your service, no ticker tape parade or thank you for your service. Instead, a nation that waited 40 years to treat your exposure to Agent Orange as the presumptive condition for the cancers that consumed you, from the diseases from which...
No, you got to work back here in Austin, and every community you came back to, raising your families, going to work, standing up for every generation of veteran that followed you in the first Gulf War and the war since 9/11, making sure that everyone who served is treated with the dignity and respect that they've earned. You have shown me that this country, led by Texas, must ensure that every veteran who comes back, those who have borne the battle, does not wait a day to see a provider, to get the care that they need to get back on their feet in a country that loses 20 veterans a day, every single day by their own hand. This needs to be a country that stands up and makes sure that we connect them with the care that they need. Every homeless veteran should not wait another day for a roof over their head. Everyone who wants to get on with their lives once they're back here in Austin, connected with that earned post 9/11 GI Bill and benefit. We should spare no expense, bear any burden for those who stood up for us. And for those who are serving tonight, where it is already tonight in Afghanistan, now in our 18th year, in Iraq, in our 27th year, but also in Syria, in Somalia, in Libya, in Yemen, in Niger. If we really want to support the troops, if we really want to have their back, then the world's greatest democracy should be willing to ask itself the following questions. What is victory in these countries? What is our strategy to achieve it? And why do we fight? Why do we ask you to risk your life? Why do we ask you to take the lives of others in the name of this country? If we can answer those questions to our satisfaction, then let us prosecute these wars with all that we've got and win them. But if we're unwilling to answer the questions, or even ask them in the